East Guilford Shine, and I'm a survivor from child abuse, molest, rape, domestic violence. I am so honored to be on here. So I was about 3 years old when my mother walked away. She was setting the house on fire to get rid of us for some insurance money. We were living with my grandmother. So it's me and my brother. We had two uncles that lived there as well. And I can remember this so clearly like it was yesterday. Me and my sister laid in a bed together, and an uncle came in the room, and he started talking to me very nicely. We got to listen to what they tell us to do, because if we didn't listen, then we would be sent away. He pulled the cover down. I got scared. He took his hand, and he started rubbing my leg. I started feeling uncomfortable with him rubbing on my leg, but I'm also scared to say anything because I'll get sent away. Oh God, I can't wait till he stopped. And as he was rubbing, he was getting higher where my privacy was at. And he was like, well, I need to see if you really clean down there. And then all of a sudden he started touching me in the private area. It was so uncomfortable. And then all of a sudden he stuck his finger and I started crying. And he said, if I scream, I'll get a whooping. And he will whoop me because they're allowed to spank us. My grandmother was a woman of God. She told us how to pray. If something I'm scared of, pray about it. And if I pray, God will stop anything bad from happening. I kept praying, but God wasn't doing anything. So this went on every time grandma left, and it happened repeatedly. These uncles were like 20, 19. I got 12 years old. That's when the penetration started. The one night he came in the room, and this time my little sister was there. And I remember pulling the cover up. I didn't want him to touch my sister. I just did not want him to touch my sister. I was only 12 years old, and I was too young to fight them. He was a well-known football player for school and did things in school. So, who was I? I was nobody. I was just a kid that my grandmother had to raise. I would hear stories of your mother nothing but a
You guys, stories like
your
this
mother
just
is a
breaks
whore, your
my
mother is
heart.
this, she don't
Just
love
ridiculous.
you, she don't want you.
Sad.
I heard that through cousins. I heard
It's a
that
story of her
family
survival.
members, and I literally heard this through my mother's own sisters. So after he got through with me, the other uncle started. It was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. I knew nothing about sex. My grandmother didn't have that in her house. We barely watched TV. She believed in us reading the Bible, praying, going to church. All I knew was something bad was happening to me. I can remember this. At the age of 10, I was told I was damaged goods. I was told that I was bony, ugly, black.
Tears to my
Nobody
eyes
would ever love me. Nobody ever would want me. So that's what I remember. That's the only thing I thought I was. And I would watch other cousins with their parents, with their mothers, with their fathers. And I was jealous. So every day I would be sexually molested. And this uncle, he started messing with me. Then he wanted to mess with my sister. And my brother used to always fight them, but he was too young. And I remember one time my brother tried to jump on his back because he caught my uncle on top of me having sex with me. And at that moment, I just knew my body was damaged. I remember my brother jumping on his back, and he beat my brother up where he choked my brother out. I thought he almost killed my brother, but he didn't. And I remember that, and I used to just tell my brother, don't worry about it. God gonna do something one day.
That's
Maybe
right.
God gonna get us out
God
of
is
this.
good.
I don't want you to get hurt.
It may not
My
come when
brother
you
was
want
my
to, but he's
protector.
always on
He was
time.
my protector. He didn't want nothing to happen to me. The one uncle was still in the house. At this moment, I call it rape because when you say no, I got a little older. I was 14 at the time. Every time he would come when grandma leave or when my aunt leave the house, I will say no. But he was stronger than me. It was other cousins that was being molested, but they never wanted to talk about it. We would talk among each other, but they would never want to speak up. They got it to the point where I started believing something was wrong with me. Maybe I'm making this up, but it's really happening to me. But
there was nothing wrong with you. Nothing at all.
They would say I would make up things. So this carried on in the home till I was like 14 years old. I wanted help. My grandma was a good grandma. To me, she was everything to me. She never was mean to me, only when I spoke up about what's happening to me. That's
right, because they were her sons. She was holding up for them. She knew they was doing that.
Never happened. And
that's
one day,
bad.
It was a nurse came in the room,
especially when it's your grandmother. Grandmother's supposed to protect
and had to go to hospital.
They protect you even when you feel like your mother can't.
And I said, because I live with my grandmother and my mother don't want me. She was telling me she worked with a lot of kids that been abused sexually. I started looking like, well, wonder if that's happening to me. And she said, is it happening to you? I said, I don't want to say because I don't want to get my grandmother in trouble. She was like, well, is somebody touching you? Is your grandmother touching you? I said, no, my grandmother ain't touching me. I got a good grandma, but we got monsters in the house. And she's like, what you mean monsters? And I said, well, my grandma got sons and they used to mess with us. She said, how long was this going on? I said, ever since I was 10 years old. She said, so it's been happening for 4 years? I said, yes. She said, and you never said nothing to your grandmother? I froze up. If I say grandma knew, grandma can get in trouble. So I remember the nurse going out and she coming back with someone. And that's when I totally froze up because I told her I didn't want nobody else to know. So I felt she betrayed me. And this was, I guess, the hospital social worker. So because I clamped up, they wanted to investigate because I had already opened up my mouth and said it was uncles. So my grandmother got a visit. I remember before I even went home, they went to my grandmother's house. They came back to the hospital and they talked to me, telling me to tell the story, what really happened. And I'm just saying this because I'm mad at someone in my home. I'm mad at my mother, and I'm just saying this so I can go be with my mother. And at this time, they wasn't believing me. They wasn't listening. I just said, forget it. So I said, no, it never happened. I made it up because they were making me feel I made it up. They weren't going to believe me. They wasn't believing me. Even when I said it happened, they wanted to bring up that I was being a trouble teen. So I remember I had to go home, go back to my grandmother's house, and my grandmother sat down and talked to me, and she said, what goes on in this house stays in this house.
What kind of grandmother was she? That's not a grandmother.
And right there, I remember crying, and I remember confessing to my grandmother, telling her it happened. They were messing with me and my sister. They were messing with both of us. I called my sister Nina.
She didn't want to believe it because they were her sons.
They messed with me.
So
they messed
what?
with Nina. They messed
with our
cousins.
As a human being, as a person, you're supposed to care, supposed to be a child of God. You're supposed to do the right things. Regardless of who it hurt. They were hurting you.
Boys will be boys. They probably were just playing with me.
It's too
and
much.
They were just, boys do that. I was made to believe
grown men touching their own niece. No, boys just don't do that.
So I remember going to the cousin's house and I met some friends that lived on the next street. It was a young man. I was 14. He was 14. And I remember meeting him. And I remember trusting him. And I remember telling him what I was going through. So he started encouraging me that he'll help me run away. He will help me. He will protect me. He will make sure nothing happened to me. And I remember running away because I found a friend that believed me. Believed these things was happening in my grandmother's home. Believe me. So this is someone I really trust because he believed me. Now I feel he's going to protect me. He's going to make sure everything's okay, but I got to leave grandma's house for him to help me. So I used to run away, and he would hide me in the basement at his aunt's house. It was his aunt's house. And he would take me in the basement all the time, bring me food, just a real nice
He was really trying to help you.
I didn't know running away was going to get the law involved. At this time, I was 15. Me and him started being boyfriend and girlfriend. I ended up in juvenile, I believe, 3 times for runaway. I was 15 years old, and I was still seeing this young man, still staying with my grandma, and I trust him to have sex with me. So this was my boyfriend. He used to tell me, when I get out of school, I'm going to the military. I'm going to come back and I'm going to marry you. I'm going to get you away from all of this. And I'm going to give you a happy life. And he would tell me that all the time, every time we were together. Well, this one time, the uncle said I couldn't see him. I couldn't see him no more.
And he probably really meant
I
that.
was with this boy, and this boy touched me. This boy was having sex with me. So my uncle was mad.
Yeah, because he wanted you for himself, a dirty bastard.
You made me this way. I wasn't thinking
Sick in the
about
head.
sex. You took my innocence.
Sick.
You did this to me. You made me want to lay down with
lock him up and throw away the damn key.
Because they said I couldn't see him. Next thing I know, the police come knocking on his aunt's door. The aunt did not know I was there because we were going to basement. He was trying to hide me up under a pile of clothes. I remember this. And I remember them taking me to juvenile. I remember I was sick.
Under the clothes.
So sick in that place. Throwing up, sick, not knowing I was pregnant.
I remember my son used to try to hide his girlfriend in the clothes. And I caught him. Caught her in the clothes. That was funny. Different situation. There was nothing to this sort. Period.
They sent me away at 15, and I got moved to Canton, Ohio, to a foster home. So I had to go to a foster home and endure more abuse.
Wow.
I was raped while I was
so
pregnant.
sorry you had to go through all that.
My mother's boyfriend. She was mean to me. She had 3 children of her own. I had to always fight. First week, I fought her daughter. Her daughter was calling me black, ugly. I got sent to the basement. This wasn't a good basement. It was one of them basements where spider webs and
wow.
But it was wet. It was cement. It was just awful.
So
I had
sad.
to sleep in the basement.
So wrong.
They do
on so many levels.
Check. The children's service come see how you're doing staying at this home. And I remember her fixing me up, combing my hair, went out and got me a little outfit to put on to make me look presentable. When the lady came,
getting paid for having you there, but abusing you at the same time. I hate this. There's a lot of kids go through this every day, and people ignore the signs.
Her children.
I always think a child is lying.
They steal all my stuff. I didn't know I was pregnant, but the woman knew, the foster mom. And she said, she's lying. She's up here sleeping with the boys in the neighborhood, and she's pregnant. Because you know why she knew? She had me pee in a cup, and I didn't know.
Wow.
She tested that I was pregnant. And they asked me who was I pregnant by. And I told them, my boyfriend in Ohio. And they told me I had to stay there till they find me a replacement.
Wow.
And that they did not believe me. She had this.
That's the problem. The system, they fail you. Some of them don't give a damn.
Go in the basement to get the clothes out the dryer. I was 6 months pregnant. And it was at nighttime. She wakes me up out of my sleep to go in the basement and get clothes out the dryer. As I went in the basement and I went to turn around, and he was standing over me. Her drunk boyfriend sexually raped me. She knew it from the screams. After he got through raping me, I come upstairs. She's sitting in the kitchen, and she throws a can at me, and she said, "Get out my house." So I left out of her house.
She had her nerve.
No
should have been putting his ass out.
Shoes
and calling the police.
And this cart was up. And it said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I got put out my home." They knew these people. They knew this lady. They knew she was mean. She was hateful. They told me to get in the car, and they took me to the police station. I told them what happened about her boyfriend raping me in the basement. You're talking about the system fails you. They took me back to the house. House where I was
don't know that life, thank God.
And they had me
Me and my sister brother never went through anything like that.
Was I her child? She said, "No, that's my
But I've heard about it. All through my life, I heard about it. It's ridiculous.
She's been fighting with my children, stealing
I
from
know
me.
kids that was in the
She's been
system.
lying. And the police had the nerve to ask them, "Would y'all like to press charges?" She
Wow.
said, "No, pregnant 15. And at that age, I went to 7 foster homes. I can't keep the baby, you know, I'm pregnant, can't keep it. You're still, through children's services, you still can't keep kids while you're pregnant. I never got to be able to have that child or be with that child or nothing like that. You don't get to be around them at all.
So sad.
Trouble, damaged goods. That's what I used to call myself. Every foster home I went to, but 2, I was sexually molested, raped.
That's so sad. I hate that for you. I hate that you went through that.
I had a tattoo on my skin saying that I was nothing but a piece of me.
No, you're more than that. You're a child of God. God loves you.
That was the last
He loved you then. He loved you now.
The father and the brother tried to gang rape me.
My God.
I didn't want to dress provocative, have my shirt open, nothing. I wanted to always wear pants, long shirts, you know, look like a little tomboy, and nothing worked. And I remember when they did. Remember, I found that number. My brother gave me a number. Got that number, and I called my brother. And I ran away, went to the phone booth, called my brother, told him what happened, but I didn't know I was getting my brother in trouble. He was on probation, and he came, and he fought these people, and my brother got locked up again. But the good thing about it, I was able to leave that home. Another foster home came up. That one, I got real sick. I started becoming suicidal because I felt I'm never going to have a good life. I took some medicine that gave me a severe asthma attack. I believe this was God at this time. And I ended up in the hospital, and I was there a long time. And I remember them coming in the room and said they're going to have to remove my tonsils and all of this because I damaged my lung. I damaged myself pretty bad. And it was another patient in another room walking past my hospital room, heard me crying, heard me denying to take the medicine that the nurse wanted to give me. And the woman said, could I talk to her? And this is why I say it was God. And she was telling me I had to take the medicine to get better. She sat next to my bed. She said, if I stayed with you, would you take it? And I said, yeah. This woman laid in the bed with me. And I told her I was scared. I said, if I take a medicine, fall asleep, one of the men in the hospital was going to take advantage of me. I was scared if I closed my eyes. Somebody going to rape me. Somebody going to sexually assault me. This woman took me home from the hospital and she adopted me. She said I would never.
That was nobody but God.
She was going to protect me.
Look at God.
And she had 4 children. I was scared. Why she want me? She got kids, you know. Is her son's going to try to mess with me? I met her children. And we fell in love with each other. Best family I ever connected.
You guys, I'm going to stop this right here for us just for a minute. I'm going to go to part 2.